Family, good morning, good morning. Happy day six. Happy day six. Um, listen, the end of another of the official first week of these YouTube lives. I'm truly grateful again that you've been rocking with me every single day. Y'all already, subscribing. I'm already seeing some new folks come over from Instagram. Like it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much. It tells me that this is resonating. This information has resonated with you, and so I am truly grateful. And that is motivation and inspiration to keep going. Because if I know that this is something that is resonating with you, something that you can, that actionable steps that you're going to be able to apply right away to level up your content creation, to be able to do so with confidence and clarity, but also to be able to, you know, really kind of get your mindset free. Take out all of those blockers that may be hindering you from showing up for your ideal audience, for showing up and positioning your knowledge, your information, your expertise, and your product or your service as, excuse me, an answer to somebody's prayer and a solution to a problem. And so, kudos to you for rocking with me all week long. And so, this is just the beginning. We still have, however many days left, and I'm looking forward to continuing to show up and add value to you. All right. So, today, this is probably going to be a shorter one because we're just going to do a week one recap. So I'm going to just kind of do a quick little recap of all 5 days, okay? And then I'm going to provide you with a challenge for this week, okay? For the end of the week. So for the weekend, you're going to have some homework, so to speak. All right? So get ready, get ready, get ready. Nothing too crazy, but I think what is going to be necessary for us to not just get information, but actually apply the information. Right? Information is great, but application of that information is what's going to make the transformation. Oh, come on, that's a bar. That's a bar. That was off the top of the head too. You know what I'm saying? So information is cool. I'm gonna say it again. Information is cool, but information. Oh man, see, of course, information. What did I say? I said applying. Oh, the application. There we go. The application of that information is what brings a transformation. Come on, come on, come on. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. So in this way, I'll give you the rest of your day. I'll give you your weekend, and we will tap in again for day 7 on in the beginning of next week. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go. Week 1 recap. I can't imagine. I can't. It's crazy. A week is going by already, and we've been tapped in, and I'm super grateful. So week 1 recap. All right, clarity challenge. So this week, so this particular week, if you haven't noticed, this week I have only focused on clarity. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Simply clarity, right? Because I'm a firm believer that you cannot move forward, you cannot be impactful, you cannot create content on purpose or with confidence, okay, if you don't have clarity. Because if you don't have clarity, then you're going to continue, like we talked about early this week. You're going to continue to basically swing in the dark. You're going to continue to be shooting your arrows in the dark, not knowing if you're not knowing what you're trying to hit, not knowing if your message is landing right. And this is where you are now. And this has caused you frustration. This has caused you insecurity, right? You've questioned yourself. You've questioned your ability. You've questioned your product. You've questioned your service. And like we talked about, I believe it was day 2 or day 3. In a lot of the cases, in most cases, it's not any of those things. It's simply that you're not clear. And because you're not clear, you're going this way and that way and the other way, and you're just been stretched so thin because you've been listening to all of these voices, and you've been doing all the things that the gurus have told you to do, and it's not working. right? Because you haven't taken into account the fact that the gurus are clear about who it is that their audience are. You're their audience, right? So they're talking to you, and it moved you because they were speaking your language, because they were clear, right? And they were able to build the whole marketing strategy and the whole content strategy around that clarity. So you can do the same thing, okay? You, once you have the foundation of clarity, then that you build everything else on, then your messaging gets clear. Like we talked about your brand messaging, like we talked about yesterday. Your product offers become clearer, right? You begin to know, once you know your audience and you know your people and you tap into their pain points and their pleasure points, then you're able to create products and services and offers that are going to be customized or custom made for them. So that's going to increase the probability of them purchasing your product, your service, or your solution to their problem or the answer to their prayer, because you have taken the time, you have sat with that audience, you have sat with their problems, sat with their issues, did some research on them, right? And you know what they need. And because you know what they need, you can then create something that they're going to be able to benefit from. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go. Let's go. All right, so week one, we recap once again. So what we covered this week, day one, my new YouTube strategy. I revealed to you. I revealed to you. Okay, my new YouTube strategy. So I told you basically that why I'm here. Right. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I wanted to do a YouTube first strategy, and I didn't. I wrote it down in my note. I said that's what I was going to do, and I did the complete opposite. I abandoned my what was actually working. I was on YouTube. I was posting. I was vlogging. I was having fun, and I just bought into. I abandoned that because I listening to a multitude of voices, and I convinced myself that it was better for me to abandon that and go to short and chase after the allure of short form content, and I hated it. I hated it. I spent so much time on it. And to me, the return on the investment, when I look back, was nowhere close to if I would have stuck to that strategy. And so I decided that I was going back to that strategy. And this is what kind of prompted me. Shout out to my brother, Mikey McDonald, um, one of the geniuses behind the Earn Your Leisure platform. He started going live every day, and a post that he posted happened to pop up on my feed, and I was like, man, the light bulb went off again, and I said, okay, you know what? I need to go back. I need to go back need to go back home, right? I need to go back to my original strategy and work a way up, and work my way back to what it is that I said I was going to do. And so my encouragement or my hope for you is that you take that and you understand that even if you missed a moment, the mere fact that you have breath in your body, the mere fact that you are still healthy and strong, that indicates, and that is your invitation, okay, to make more moments count, okay. And even if you have to revisit something that you did before, that you stopped doing for whatever reason, but you had a plan and you abandoned it for whatever reason because you were convinced otherwise, I want to encourage you to go back to that thing. It's not too late, okay. So do not dwell on the missed moment. I want you to focus on, okay, you know what? I might have abandoned this idea or this strategy before, right? But because God has been gracious enough to me to give me more moments, I'm going to be intentional about making the most of them. All right. So that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Okay. Day two, we talked about why clarity is your superpower. Okay. Day three, how to find your niche, how to find your people. We talked about that on day three. Day four, the three questions that will change your content forever. Okay, that was a banger. Okay, and yesterday, day five, we talked about how to craft your brand message. Okay, so if you're just catching today, day six, this weekend, one of your assignments is to go ahead and binge watch all all five of the of our lives this week. Okay, to get all caught up. All right. Next. So the big idea for the entire week was clarity. We focus simply on clarity. We pull back all of the layers on clarity and getting you clear. Okay, because the clarity, as we talked about just a few moments ago, clarity is the foundation of everything. So when you're clear on what you on who you help, what you do, and how you're different, your content, confidence, and growth all fall into place. Okay, clarity is your superpower. Clarity is the foundation that everything else needs to be built on. Period. Okay, and that's why we spent an entire week focusing on just clarity. All right. Now, here's the truth. When you have clarity, okay, here's what you get. You get focus. You know exactly what to create. You get confidence. Okay. You stop second guessing yourself. How many of you are second guessing yourself? Okay. Clarity is a remedy to that. You get connection. We talked about how specificity creates connection. All right. Your audience feels seen because you're speaking specifically to them. Remember, we talked about being in the middle of Times Square and just talking, right? Now you could be talking great, you could be talking about your knowledge, your expertise, your information. However, if you don't know specifically who you're trying to talk to, and you're just out there just talking and hoping and praying that someone who relates to what it is that you're talking about or needs what you need stops and says, oh yeah, you know what, I want to know more about that. The odds are, particularly in the social media streets, which is like a virtual Times Square where you got millions and millions, even billions of people walking through these social media platforms on a daily basis, right? If you're not clear on the section of people that you want to talk to within these billions of eyeballs, these billions of people who are passing through the social media platform, then more than likely you're going to get passed by. Not even more than likely, you're going to be passed by, right? But when you are specific about who it is that you're talking to, when you're specific on how it is that you help them and what it is that you do, right? Then that specificity, you'll begin to speak with that specificity. You'll start to show up with that specificity, right? Your products, your service, your brand strategy, your content strategy, your brand message will all be super specific, as we talked about yesterday. That is going to foster, right? That's going to foster connection, because the person that you're looking to help and serve is going to be able to identify you as their person. And it's through that connection that they're going to start to it's through that connection that they're going to begin to um to not just listen to you, but it's through that connection that a relationship is going to start to form, because they believe you and you're talking their language, so they feel at home with you, right? And the things that you talk about is the questions that they have in their mind, and the struggles and the challenges that they're having. And so they're like, oh, I feel seen and heard because this person is talking exactly what I'm thinking, right? And we dropped the bombshell earlier this week too, that a lot of the times, most times, the person who you're talking to, or the people group in which you're talking to, is who you already were. Who you were before you got your knowledge, before you got your expertise, before you got your information, before you were the informed professional that you are now. You were an amateur. You were a rookie. You didn't know all of this stuff, right? Before you invested your time in books and coaching and courses and whatever it was that you did to acquire the information and the knowledge and expertise that you have now, you didn't have it. So there were gaps there, there were struggles there were challenges there, both informational and application wise. And so you talking to the person who you used to be, you can relate very much so with that person. And you already have gone through the pitfalls. You've already gone through the challenges. You've overcome everything that you've overcome everything. So literally, it's a matter of you creating content that speaks to that person and creating products and services that meets that person at every single step of where they were, or where they were in hopes and in an intention to aid them in getting from where they are to where they desire to be. Okay, and where they desire to be is where you possibly where you are right now, right? And you've gotten there, so you why not? So you are the ideal guide to get them there. All right, makes sense. Cool, cool. All right, let's get back to it. We almost done here. All right. So clarity gets you focus, it gets you confidence, it gets you connection, it gets you conversions. People buy because they get you. You know why they buy? You know why they buy? Because they get you, because they feel connection. They feel as if you know them. They buy from you because they get you, and they feel that they get you because, and the reason why that is because they believe that you get them. Okay? Seen, heard. Lastly, well, not lastly, but one of the last things, just on the slide because I ran out of room on the slide, is for clarity gets you consistency. Okay, when you show up, or you can show up without burning out. When you are talking, when you are in a room, or you are talking on the phone with a friend, or you're talking sports at your local, hangout place, after hour, whatever that happens to be. All right, church, whatever that happens to be. When you're talking about something that you know, you could talk forever. You don't get burned out at all, right? Because you know what you're talking about. And you even, in cases, know who you're talking to. When you're talking to a friend on the phone about God knows what, right? You don't feel overwhelmed. You could talk for hours on end. You don't feel burnt out, right? Because there's a familiarity with the person that's on the other end of the call, right? There's a familiarity with them, which automatically which automatically breaks down any walls that you may have, and gives you a level of comfort. Okay, and so you've established a connection with them, so that makes you feel more comfortable, and you're speaking on a topic that you're familiar with, that you may be passionate about, and so you can talk for hours and hours and hours on that. So this is the same kind of idea when we're talking about clarity, and when and how clarity is a remedy to burnout, because oftentimes when you're burnt out is because you're doing something that maybe is not organically who you are, right? Or organically aligned with your skill set. So in other words, you're trying to do something that maybe someone told you that you should do, or you saw somebody else do and said, "Oh, well, maybe I can do that," and you begin to try and do that, and you may be successful a little bit in the beginning because it's something new, only for you to find out that, hold on, like, I can't sustain this. Like, this is not even who I am. Like, this is not even aligned with what I do. You understand what I'm saying? Like, me doing this live at 5 a.m., it's not a burnout for me, because I get up at 4:30 every day anyway. You know what I'm saying? And this is actually a perfect time for me, because I'm usually I get my kids up, like 6 o'clock or 6:15 or something like that. So this is actually a perfect time for me. So if I was trying to, so if someone, so for instance, if I came across a YouTube video, or I come across a video on Instagram, and the person is like, you know what, the best time for you to go live is 6 a.m., because that's when, all of the traffic is coming through. This is, and they lay out this great argument as to why I should go live at 6 p.m., well, I could do that because they said I should do that, but I'm going to get burnt out fairly quickly because that is going to be in direct conflict with my schedule, right? So it might be good for them and they might have made a great argument for me to do that, but because I that does not align with my schedule, then it would ultimately burn me out simply because I'm going to be having during that time I would have to be trying to juggle way too much, and I wouldn't be able to really show up and really be able to have the time to articulate and do the live the way that I've been able to do the live because I just wouldn't have the time. I just wouldn't have the time to do it, and so it would cause this friction that would ultimately I would have to let something go, right? And it would be exhausting for me to try to move heaven and earth as far as my schedule is concerned to try to fit it in because someone said this is that this is the right time. So a lot of the times burnout, we get burnt out because we're shooting at the wrong target, right? We're not talking to the right people. We're trying to appeal to the masses as opposed to that one person or that few group of people that we talked about a few days ago. And because we're trying to be something for everybody, that's where the burnout comes, right? Because we're trying to implement everything that everybody's telling us that we're hearing that should be done. We're getting burnt out because none of that stuff is sustainable because we don't have clarity. Okay, so this is why clarity is so important and imperative. So, just one more time, clarity gets you focus. It gets you confidence, connection, conversions, and consistency. Can someone say amen? All right. Here's your clarity. Here's our clarity challenge. Here's our clarity challenge. Okay, this weekend I'm challenging you to put it all together. Right? Go back to day 1 to day 5, all right? And put it all together. Take everything you learned this week and create your clarity blueprint. Okay? You're going to get clear, all right, on your audience. You're going to get clear on you're going to get for day 1, you're going to get clear on who you're talking to, okay? Day 2, you're going to dig down deeper in that and actually finding your person, all right? Finding your niche. Day 3 was you well, you're gonna have to go back. I can't go. I'm not gonna go back to the slide. But anyway, go back to all 5 days. Go back to all 5 days. So and each day builds on itself. All right. And so we want to put it all together this weekend. Okay. Um, it's not too much. Take it a little bit at a time. Um, I only do about 6 or 7 slides every single morning, and that's purposeful. I try to keep the information very concise, very clear, and very easy to follow and understand because I'm more interested in the implementation than I am the information. Information is good, but I want you to be able to implement this information because again, the application of this information is what's going to bring the transformation. That's where you're going to see the result. Okay, so we want to put it all together. All right. Here we go. So you can screenshot this right here, your clarity blueprint. All right. So day 3, we talked about who is my niche, who is my people, who do I help? Okay, what do I help them do? So here's your blueprint. You can go through all of the videos this week, and you can check off these boxes. Who is my niche? I want you to write that down. What are my 3 questions for every post from referencing day 4? You want to write that down. What is your brand message? I provided yesterday a brand message blueprint or formula that you can use, and all you got to do is fill in the blanks. Okay, that was yesterday. That was day 5, and I want you to create 3 pieces of content using your new clarity. 3 pieces of content. That's not a lot. Okay, I'm not. You don't have to get on live. You don't have to get on a YouTube live or anything like that. You ain't got to go on Instagram live. You ain't got to be on. I'm not talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. I'm talking 3 45 seconds to a minute, maybe 2-minute clips of you applying your new clarity, right? And in those posts, you're going to be talking specifically to your people. You're going to speak specifically to what you do and how you help. Also, you're going to get clear on their pain points and their pleasure points, and you're going to also include solutions to those pain points, or even a solution to those pleasure points within your content. Very, very, very. It is very. It will be much easier. Let me say it that way. I'm not going to say very easy. It will be much easier once you apply your new clarity. Okay. So here's what I want you to do with that too. When you've created those three pieces of content, I would like for you to post it on. If you're going to post it on Instagram, tag me at Pop the Creative. Okay, or send it to me in a DM. Um, because I would love to see it. I would love to take a look at it. I could even give you some. I'll even give you some pointers. I can give you some fearless feedback as well in regards to what you posted, and kind of give you some insight on how to make it better or change some things up or whatever that happens to be. All right, so let's get it. Three pieces of content. So tag me on IG. I definitely want to take a look at them. You know what I mean? And I want to salute you and celebrate you for following through and being an action taker, because that's a big, big, big deal. All right. And last, last but not least, is your action step for today. All right. Going into this weekend, I want you to complete your clarity blueprint. Okay. I want you to create three pieces of content using what you've learned, and I want you to post them and tag me. All right? That is your homework for this weekend. All right? This ain't going to take you. I think each one of my videos isn't that long. So, if you knocked out, I mean, if you working out, whatever that happens to be, you know what I mean, or have me playing in the background while you're doing some other things, whatever that happens to be, you could really, really, like, if you really apply this stuff this weekend, you can really set yourself up to, you can really set yourself up this weekend to really begin to create impactful, purposeful content that actually, with confidence and clarity, that will actually convert, that will convert your audience into followers, that will convert your audience into customers, right? And this, if you take the time to do this, then this is really, really, really going to set you up for everything else that we're going to be talking about for the rest of this week. All right. So, excuse me, for the rest of this month. So, just so you know, let me just check my let me check my little calendar here to see what we're gonna be talking, so I can give you a little sneak peek of what we're gonna be dealing with and working with next week, so you have something to look forward to. If it would allow me to pull my thing up here, give me 1 second, please. I should actually had this. See, preparation. I actually should have had this joint. I should have had this joint ready already. So let me. Yeah, which one you got? Okay. Okay. All right. So here's what week two. Here's what we're going to be dealing with week two. All right. On Monday, we're going to be talking about content pillars, the foundation of your strategy. So we're going to actually start, now that you have your clarity. We're going to start building on your strategy. We're going to start building out your strategy. We're going to talk about content pillars. Okay. That's Monday. Tuesday, we're going to be talking about how to plan your content calendar. All right. This is another way for you to be able to avoid burnout. All right. To avoid burnout is to have a plan, right? If you plan, if you if you fail to plan, excuse me, if you if you fail to plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right. Shoot, I don't know why I drink it. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Wednesday, understand engagement levels, your awareness, education, and authority. All right, that's what we're going to be tapped in on Wednesday. Thursday, we're gonna be tapping into storytelling secrets, how to make your content stick. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about this week. All right, and of course Friday it'll be another recap of everything that we've learned over the course of week 2. All right, so content pillars, how to plan your content, how to understand engagement levels, and storytelling secrets, so you can create content that sticks. All right, so I'm telling you, we going somewhere, y'all. We going somewhere. So most certainly, you tapping in with me is has been absolutely phenomenal, and we're going somewhere. We not just on here spinning our wheels. We're actually going to get clarity. We're getting breakthroughs. We're building out strategy. Yeah, it's a big deal. So I love you to life. I pray that you have a phenomenal day, have a phenomenal and safe weekend. All right, and do your homework. Do your homework. All right, let me pray over you. Father, we just thank you today. We thank you for bringing us through another week. Lord, there was so much that we learned this week, so much about clarity, so much about building a foundation. And for some of us, we have to take a couple of steps back in order to propel forward. But you know what? It is what it is. Lord, I pray that you will help us, Lord Father, to humble ourselves, that you will help us to not be discouraged because we may have to take a couple of steps back to rebuild our foundation. But Lord, help us to focus on what having a strong, clear foundation is going to do for our content, that's going to do for our business, that's going to do for our product and our services. And honestly, what's going to do was this is a universal and transferable skill and universal principle that if we apply the clarity to our lives, and then it also is going to be instrumental in us being able to be more effective in our homes, be more effective in our businesses, be more effective, right, with those who we come in contact with, and be more efficient, so we can get more done, be more productive without burnout. So being clear and having clarity really, really, really transforms and really assists everything else that we have going on. So Lord, I'm praying for clarity for my family on that's tuned in. I'm praying for their safety this weekend. I'm praying for their clarity this weekend. I'm praying that you will keep them healthy, that you will keep them strong, that you will heal whatever needs healing, fix whatever needs fixing. So in anything that will distract them or hinder them from applying what they've learned, Lord, I pray that you will remove it, that they will be able to put these things into action so they can see the results of that work and see the results of that effort and be encouraged and motivated to keep going. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, family. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Week 1 in the books. And Lord willing, I'm going to see you next week. Peace.